John. Dad.
Oh shit.
Kirkland and Mishay had an on-again, off-again relationship.
Mrs.
It
Backwash.
didn't seem unusual that she wouldn't contact him for a
From
while.
the chip shop just
He
had.
said he went to a baby
That was me.
shop after dropping her off.
Shy,
and
you
went
must
to
be
another
backwash.
friend's house, Nettie's.
Missing.
Her absence didn't concern him until she was reported missing nearly a week later.
So where do you think they're at? Well, you don't know? Okay. Is there any history of them running off? Not that I know of.
Why am I not
So when you
seeing
went
it?
over to Nettie's, what did you
I'm saying, why am I driving?
Well, how you do that?
Did you buy her a bagel too? Is she like a girlfriend? No, she's just a friend.
You say this is my girl, but you say he's my girlfriend. But me and my wife are in the process of getting separated.
Kirkland grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He was the son of a municipal judge who resigned in 2009 following allegations of misconduct, including second-degree forgery,
What is
abuse
that?
of office, and attempted
Second-degree
theft of property.
forgery.
In the last few years, Kirkland had moved to Vancouver, Washington, where he married a woman named Monet Tyler Warren. She
Mr.
and
Warren.
Kirkland had 2 daughters. Aged 26 in the spring of 2023, she worked at a bank in Portland. But she'd recently been accused of stealing money from customer accounts and transferring
You
it
still
to
drunk
others.
it?
The theft amounted to nearly $25,000.
What do you want me to do with that?
This wasn't a
I don't want it.
connected incident.
You got more?
On November 21st,
No.
2022, Monet's
I don't have more.
to alter account information at the credit union in order to steal, and $20,000 was transferred into an account under Mishay Melendez's name. Mishay was also seen on surveillance footage opening an account at the credit union that same month and exiting Monet's car. The 2 women knew each other and may have been tangled up in a criminal scheme together. This made sense with Mishay's social media presence. She was an active TikTok user until her last post on December 20th, 2022. Right around the time of the thefts from the credit union, she began to go dark online, perhaps trying to minimize her exposure in case of an investigation. In both of her last posts, she could be seen with Kirkland. But what was Mishay and Monet's connection? How had they developed the scheme if they were indeed both involved? The only thing the 2 women had in common was one
So get to
man,
play basketball this year
Kirkland
or next
Warren.
year?
And Monet blamed Kirkland when she was questioned by police. She said she'd been changing the account information on behalf of her husband, who'd asked her to help him steal money. He said
I was
he
gonna
was
play some
divorcing
basketball.
Monet, but his relationship
When
with
you
her
come
wasn't
get me
just
when it's ready,
turbulent, it was
when
criminal.
leaving?
And this went for his relationship with Mishay.
Maybe.
Okay.
They'd been staying at their friend's apartment instead of one of their own for a specific reason, a restraining order.
And you guys were going to stay. How long you guys been staying there?
First time,
Okay, gotcha.
like I said, when I'm trying to violate or get caught violating fashion.
The previous December, Mishay had called 911 to report that Kirkland had assaulted her, including firing shots at her balcony window as she was looking outside. In February, investigators had corroborated her story with a friend who was also present during the altercation. But a mere 2 weeks later, on February 17th, Mishay recanted the accusation. She said she lied about the shooting and that she and her friend both had mental health and substance abuse problems. She discredited herself and wanted the police to assure her that Kirkland wouldn't be arrested. But the police found this suspicious. On March 2nd, they arrested Kirkland
You don't
on
find
charges
it
of second-degree
suspicious?
domestic violence assault, drive-by shooting, making a false statement, harassment, and possession of a stolen firearm. The prosecutor said he posed an
don't find
extreme
it
risk to Mishay's safety,
suspicious?
with a score of 31 on a scale of 1 to 18. The judge held him on bail of $100,000 and ordered a domestic violence no-contact order. Kirkland violated this order within only hours of its issue. He
How
called
long
Mishay
is it
twice
gonna,
from the Clark County jail,
take to
saying
get
she
back
was the
home?
reason he'd been
15
arrested,
minutes there,
and that he
15
needed her
minutes
to
back.
get the charges dropped.
So that
She
equals
said she was
My
trying
whole
her
break.
best, He was released on bail later that day, but was cited in court for violating the no
Probably gonna be a
contact
little
order.
late.
A higher bail and GPS monitoring was ordered on
I'm
March
probably
6th.
gonna be a little late
But
getting
the
back.
next day, the case was dismissed, and he was not fitted with a GPS monitor.
They're not protected. DV has never really been taken seriously.
I'll
The
be
restraining orders are false security blankets. He was released with no GPS in the first place.
With this troubled history, he was the first suspect the police looked to in their investigation of the mother and daughter's disappearance. They served a search warrant for his house and car, and on March 19th, they took him into custody based on a violation of the order.
Hey, show me your hands with the police. Put your hands on top of your head and release your fingers.
Listen, you are under arrest for a violation, okay? Do you understand? If you do not obey commands, force may be used against you. Do you understand?
This gave the police the opportunity to interview him about Mishay and Layla.
So, I mean, I'm trying to gather leads, right? So, if you were me, where would you go looking for? And again, if I find, I'm likely gonna find Mishay, right? So, where do you think they're hiding out at? Where do you would go? Where would she want to be?
I don't know. The only, and then, like I said, again, I'm not trying to point fingers or anything. Her ex-husband literally took her and wouldn't give her back for a couple of days, and we had an issue with that. So
When was that?
this was like sometime last year, maybe.
Kirkland suggested that maybe Mishay's ex-husband had something to do with it. But the police had already visited him and determined that Mishay and Layla weren't with him. And unlike Kirkland, he didn't have an outstanding no-contact order against him.
Fair enough. I'm trying not to get too involved in your other case, right? But like I said, I'm more interested in that little girl. Okay, that is. Mishay could be anywhere, right? But I mean, I'm sure you love that little girl like everybody else, right? I mean, that little girl got a lot of family, right?
That's who I'm home. I'm telling you, I'm literally, when you say gave her brother a car, I'm the one that got up in the morning to take Layla to school every morning.
And you're kind of soft-spoken. Do you mind if I pull up a chair? Speak now.
There's no, I got a lot of shit I'm already dealing with, and this just makes everything worse.
Like what? Like your other cases?
You know, well, I only have one other case. I've never ran from it. I've always been at every court date on time. I've never got in trouble since. This is the most trouble I've been in since.
Kirkland presented himself, if not as an upstanding citizen, then at least one who was trying to do better and was complying with the terms of his past run-ins with the law. But this wasn't true, because there was something else the investigators knew about him, something that made him even more of a suspicious figure.
Where did you live before you lived here?
Arkansas.
Kirkland hadn't left Arkansas just because he longed for the western seaboard. He'd fled another criminal case, this time a murder. In November 2017, a 57-year-old man called Curtis Urquhart went missing in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Earlier that year, he'd been charged with second-degree forgery and theft of property. His body was discovered lying in a ditch by 3 men on December 11th. He'd been shot in the head, and his body had been mutilated by wildlife. He'd last been seen leaving a law office with Kirkland, then 22, on November 27th. This threw Kirkland under suspicion of his murder, and the police brought him in for an interview. Kirkland admitted he'd killed Curtis. That same December, his Google history showed searches for how to get blood out of a car seat, how to beat murder, killing the only witness, and other ways to get away with murder. He'd said he and Curtis had left the notary's office together and driven around. When Curtis had started to demand money from him, Kirkland refused, but Curtis kept insisting, and he said he was scared for his life. He reached under the driver's seat and pulled out a handgun, which he used to shoot Curtis in the head. He then dumped Curtis's body in a ditch and drove away. Kirkland was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He was released on $250,000 bond, and at some point between 2018 and 2020, moved across the country to Washington State. There, far from obeying the terms of his bail, he continued to violate it. In 2020, Vancouver police investigated him for possession of a stolen semi-automatic handgun.
Okay. You can start it back.
He surrendered it to them, but the following March he lied on an application to buy another semi-automatic handgun, saying he wasn't under indictment for a felony. The application was denied. But he got hold of the gun somehow anyway, because in December 2022, he used it to shoot at Miche's balcony window. Kirkland's murder charge in Arkansas was still pending, and now the disappearance of a mother and child was connected to his name. On March 17, 2023, the day before Miche and Layla were reported missing, an Arkansas judge revoked his bail in the murder case. On the 22nd, he appeared in court and admitted he was wanted in Arkansas, but refused to waive extradition to be turned over to the authorities there. The judge ordered that he be held without bail. And that same day, 2 bodies were found.
On Wednesday morning, the Clark County Sheriff's Office got a call from someone who was walking on this rural road in Washougal. The caller described what they believed to be 2 life-sized mannequins down an embankment near a creek. But when deputies arrived on scene, they discovered 2 bodies. Investigators contacted Vancouver police, who determined this was likely Miche Melendez and Layla Stewart.
They'd both been killed by gunshot wounds to the head. Miche had been shot once and Layla twice, and Layla had been assaulted. The investigators took this discovery to their interrogation of Kirkland.
Do you think I'm here to judge you? No. Do you think I'm here because maybe God put me here?
You're here to do your job.
Yeah, and what do you think that job is? To find out, right? Do you think maybe I have found them? No. You don't know?
I hope not.
Do you hope not?
I hope not in what you think. I hope not in the way that I think you're just about to say.
What do you think I'm about to say? Kirkland.
Just tell me they're okay.
I can't tell you that.
That's all I need to do.
What do you think? Where do you think they are?
I don't know.
Kirkland, I'm here to ask about what actually happened. And I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you if I didn't think that maybe you'd want to talk about it.
I want that for my birthday.
Well,
The cake when you burn it and then it shows my face.
What did happen?
I don't know.
Imagine there's another bag in there.
I don't know where they are.
You don't know where they are?
I've been called and called.
I get it. Do you think that maybe that might be some denial?
So,
chocolate comes.
Kirkland.
what?
Don't ask that. Then tell me about what happened to that baby.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't.
Kirkland. I don't want to go down the road with all this stuff I have on my phone. I want to hear from the man. You're a man, right?
I am.
You're a man that maybe made a mistake about a monster?
What time is it? I made one mistake.
2:29.
Tell me about the mistake that happened.
So we're finna leave in 1 minute.
In Arkansas.
Well, not right.
Not about that. Tell me about this baby.
I don't know.
Kirkland tried to bring the conversation back to his past charges, including the murder in Arkansas. But he'd already confessed to that. This was something new. And it displayed eerily similar hallmarks to the killing of Curtis Burkhardt. They'd been shot in the head like Curtis and left in a ditch, also like Curtis.
I was there. I was at the scene. I know what road you were off of. I know why there's mud on your car. I know why there's tire tracks down that little road that goes up where you turn around and went back. I know all that stuff. I don't need to know if you did it. I sure every once in a while.
This on YouTube?
And I think a man like you would at least give people the peace of mind of to at least know why.
Have I ever cried on my birthday?
The investigator urged him
Would it
to
be good if I
confess,
did?
but he refused.
That's so cute. That's how you. That's what you feel like doing.
Family why.
Can I have a photo for my birthday?
He asked for his attorney,
A photo shoot.
but even without a confession, the evidence was mounting that
But we
he
gonna have to
had
pay for it.
something to do with Misha and Layla's murders. On March 13th and 15th, he texted a friend asking if she knew of secluded local areas
What, y'all
like
asking
woods
for photo
or a
shoots
place
now?
where he could
Okay.
bury a gun. On the 15th, he also transferred $4,200
listen?
from
Yes, ma'am.
Misha's bank account
Hoes,
to
I
his
tell you,
own
hoes.
using her phone. He texted another friend on
I'll
March
let you post how you want
18th
to for a
saying,
few of them, but then
"I
I'm gonna
need to get
kick
rid
in
of
and
this
tell you what to do.
stolo,"
I'm
which
gonna
is
go
slang for a stolen car. It was
You're gonna go
possible
like
he was referring to the Charger that Misha and Layla
That's
had
you.
last been seen in. On a search of this car, the police discovered shell casings, a large blue tarp, and both Misha and Layla's blood. It seemed certain that they'd been killed in his car. They talked to the friend that Misha and Kirkland had been staying with on the night of the 11th. This friend, Joe, said that they both left the house at about 5 a.m. March 12th, saying they were going out to make some money. Kirkland came back in his car at about 8 a.m., blasting loud music with Misha in the passenger seat. She was naked from the waist down and seemed to be passed out. Joe reached into the car to turn the music down, and Kirkland shouted at her to close the car door. But she didn't suspect something was amiss. Thankfully, she handed Layla and Layla's kitten Rocky over to Kirkland, and Kirkland drove off. Kirkland often took Layla to school, and she trusted him like a father. When she got into his car that morning, she would have no idea what was coming, and no idea that her mom was already dead in the front seat. Her life had so much promise as a 6-year-old child, and it was cruelly snatched away.
That Layla had a little kitten named Rocky. That night, pictures of her, she had a kitten on her shirt. She loved cats. And when Joanna Cardinal put her in the defendant's car, she had Rocky with her. And it's our hope that Rocky was the last thing that she saw at the time in which she passed this earth.
The loss of Layla has left a void in my heart that can never be filled. Every day, I wake up with the pain, knowing that my little girl will never grow up.
Our family has been torn apart by grief and the endless questions that haunt us every day. Why?
He a 7-year-old and then shot her and killed her. You have judges that let him out. Should
Raped
never
a
have let him
7-year-old
out.
child and shot
You have
her
a
and killed
district
her.
attorney who gave him bail. Why would you give somebody bail who has this kind of a history?
With all the evidence mounting, Kirkland had to change his story. He then claimed that he'd given Misha a pistol to use to protect herself in her line of work, about which he was vague. He said that on that fateful morning they'd been arguing in the car about his second cell phone, and she'd fumbled with her gun during the conversation. She'd accidentally shot her daughter twice and then herself. This was what he claimed. But why try to hide the bodies? And it would be some coincidence with the facts of the case so closely resembling the 2017
You was
murder
running?
of Curtis.
I just spit it up.
Oh.
Ultimately, Kirkland Warren had no choice but to plead guilty. He admitted to the murders of Layla and Misha, and he entered an Alford plea to a charge of assaulting Layla. This plea allowed him to maintain his innocence, but functioned as a guilty
That was
plea
cool.
in sentencing. For these crimes, he was sentenced to life in prison.
I can't even make any more memories. The 7 years was all I had. And it's all because of Kirkland Warren. And I want him to suffer every single day.
Misha's family questions why he was allowed out on bail for the domestic violence charge when he had a murder case standing against him.
The trouble is when we have a legal system with district attorneys and judges.
I don't look. I know you want
They
to.
are horribly undertrained in domestic violence. They know laws, but they don't know a perpetrator. They don't know the characteristics of a perpetrator, and they don't know what they do to a victim.
He also pleaded guilty to Curtis's murder. His sentence for this 7-year-old crime will run concurrently with the life sentence handed down for the killing of Layla and
Spanking don't
Misha.
make it hurt worse.
And though Arkansas is a death penalty state, that punishment has been taken off the table. It was abolished in Washington state in 2023. The motive for the murders remains unknown, though his interference in Miché's accounts and his theft scheme involving his wife Monet suggest it was potentially financial. Monet pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree theft and 2 counts of attempted identity theft, and was sentenced to 2 years probation. Kirkland Warren now begins his life sentence. The Clark County community is angry, and Miché and Layla's family won't ever move
No
on.
shit. They believe it.
From the family to the larger community, this tragic case has brought many tears. At a vigil at Vancouver's Esther Shore Park the weekend after Miché and Layla's bodies were found, hundreds came out to remember and honor them, including Layla's classmates.
We really want to honor the family and make sure they get like lots of support for that Layla and her mom is gone.
Close friends with Layla and Miché. Layla was pretty much my niece. So yeah, this has been very heartbreaking. We hope something changes. We hope that if the victim comes out and they're scared, that the police do way more than what they did for her.
What do you think about this tragic story? Could Miché and Layla's killings have been prevented? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.
Warning. Cheaters may contain adult themes and strong language. Parents are cautioned that this program may not be suitable for children. Coming up on this episode of Cheaters.
She came back over this day, them kissing, hugging. You want to confront them?
Yes, I do want to confront him.
What are you doing? It's her. Screw you. I want you to. No.
From Cheaters surveillance cameras, you are about to view actual true stories filmed live, documenting the pain of a spouse or lover caused by infidelity. This program is both dedicated to the faithful and presented to the false-hearted to encourage their renewal of temperance and virtue.
This look like from 1930.
I don't like being the one.
Definitely wasn't color TVs in 1930.
I asked her about his, and she said nothing's going on. Do you want to confront him?
Oh yeah. I go there.
Yeah, I got him. He go.
Mom, what is this thing? What is this thing?
Happy birthday.
The